Hey, everyone, it's me. Just me right now. A lot of people pop in later on. But once again, I want to tell you what the basic policy is. If it's just me here, I just talk. I just talk for maybe 10 minutes about things that I find important, possibly. How's it going, Godless Scummer? Glad to see that you're here. And Jesse, sometimes I need to be reminded to hit the like to my own videos. I'm not going to lie to you. I feel like it's somewhat masturbatory to like my own videos, but I definitely forget to ask people to like the video. So that's just, that's on me. That's what that is. That's on me. I hope you're all doing well. So what have I got going on today? I got work. Try to write something funny, right? Try to write something funny. What's up, Phil Lister? Where are you today? You out in a boat? Somewhere in the Baltic? What's up, Theo? Glad to see that you're here, sir. Things here aren't that bad, I have to tell you. Am I thinking about the weekend? I'm actually throwing my first indoor soiree get-together. Not this weekend, but the weekend after that. I'm having a couple of friends over indoors. They're all fully vaccinated. I think this is a good way to usher in me. What is it? It's called systemic desensitization, right? So when you're anxious about something, the way to overcome your anxiety, at least this is one model, is to give yourself little controlled exposures to the anxiety creating stimuli. So how you doing, Bonnie? So I'm having some people over, maybe 4, maybe 5 people over, fully vaccinated. And I think this is going to get me used to being indoors socially with people. Sure, I'm indoor social. I'm indoors with people now for my job. But in terms of a social setting, this small party I'm having in 2 weeks, small get together, will get me de-anxious or work on my anxiety. That's what. At least that's the hope, everyone. That's the hope. I don't know if it's going to work or not. At home in Malamo, recovering from being battered from a voyage around the Faroe Islands. Interesting. Well, glad that you weren't battered too bad, Phil, that you're here with us today. Jesse Bear writes, laughing, I got to see some family last weekend. No mask since everyone is vaccinated, right? First time in a year since I've seen some of them. Yeah, Jesse Bear, I have to, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to, my story is about seeing my birth mother. It comes in dribs and drams, right? So when my girlfriend and I said Melmo, right? Good, thank you, Phil. I try to get the umlaut. I have a vague understanding of how to pronounce the umlauts. So the first time, my only time that I met my mother, we drove down to North Carolina. We were both vaccinated. It was, I was probably at 80% vaccinated. I had my second shot like the day before. We were down there to see her, and it was a maskless environment in her house. My girlfriend was fully vaccinated, and that was somewhat anxiety. It was so anxiety provoking for me because, it was the first time I met my mother, and no one had masks on. And even though I had my first shot, I wasn't like fully vaccinated. What's up?
Hey, how you doing?
Just you and me.
Okay, just give me a second. I'm just feeding the cat, so you might hear some background noise.
All right, dude. I'll shut off your mic for a moment. How about you doing your cat? So Glenn's going to be with me. Oh yeah, well, yeah, that sounds like it could be tough. Sailing in the North Atlantic with that could be tough. All right, is Glenn might be back. He looks like you're back, Glenn.
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So I just have a quick question. You didn't. I don't know if you saw my question. With that whole, with the whole like offshore and stuff, windmills. Could another person not just come in and reverse it with an executive order?
Well, the trick is to build it as fast as possible.
Yeah.
The trick is to build it, and that's what the vibe I got through the article. It was like, we're going to start building it next year. The year after that, everything's going to be online. It's going to be electricity fill, So yeah, in theory, they could just shut the whole thing down, but it's already the infrastructure would already be in there. The cables, the electricity would already be pumping into people's homes. So, and that's the trick, right? To build it as quickly as possible so that the next administration can't destroy it or just cancel it. Yeah. But that's how the states run. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of depressing, because if it's half built, then the next administration just come in. Okay, we're just going to stop it, and then and then
exactly. So I believe that they are going to build it as quickly as humanly possible.
Yeah. So do you actually think Trump's going to actually run, or do you think that's a grift?
Yeah, dude. I think he's going to run. I think he hurts. I think I think he's suffered a narcissistic injury, so to speak, from losing. And he just wants to win, and he's crazy. He felt like it was robbed, probably, even though he probably knows for real he didn't get robbed. But in his heart, it feels like that. And he wants to win. There are a few stable characteristics in Donald J. Trump's character, and one of them is that he wants to cream the other side, like cream style corn, like mashed potatoes cream. And the idea that he lost to that loser Joe Biden, because Biden already lost twice to the presidency, and so Trump believes, I cannot believe I lost to that loser Joe Biden, and that burns him. I think that burns him.
You see, the thing is that I don't know if we covered it on here, but for me, the scarier thing is I would take 4 years of Donald Trump over someone like 4 years of like Josh Hawley or
I think
Tom or Cotton, or just because they would probably actually be effective, and they're just and they're evil. Like they'd be effective because Donald Trump just can't get out of his own way. Like he'd be rage tweeting at 3 a.m. for 4 straight years.
It's important to point out the fact that Joe Biden did not beat Donald Trump. Donald Trump beat Donald Trump in the last election. Yeah, he only had to do a few things regarding COVID. Even if he made like 90 bad decisions about COVID, he only had to make 10 good ones, and that would have gotten the presidency. And that's how much he effed up. Yeah.
Well, it's you were talking about I don't know if you know about that Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Taylor Greene freak show tour. Their first stop was in the Villages, and my mom's one of my mom's like friends that she'd known since nursing school, like she met her in England. She worked with her in England. They actually her husband was actually one of the people, I think, that worked for the Center for, I think it's the Center for Disease Control. And they moved to the US, and they're both British, and they ended up moving when they retired to the Villages, which is where they had that big rally, the first rally, because the Village is a retirement home in retirement community in Florida. It's one of the biggest. It's a massive city. People don't realize just how many people live there. And apparently 4 years ago, or 5 years ago now, there were tons of Trump like flags, posters, and all that stuff. And apparently my mom's friend Joan said that 4 years later there weren't that many, but Florida still went for Trump big time. So now maybe the people who are just not wanting to get into arguments, so they just kind of didn't put us up as many Trump memorabilia just to kind of maybe fool people, who knows.
I just want to answer Godless Scummer. I'm willing to put not just money, but a good amount of money that Trump would win the nomination. Because if you saw how he just massacred the Republicans last time during the primaries, he would just do it again. Yeah. And he would just he would I think he would dominate unless someone is able to create an infrastructure that is like Trump, like a fervent core of believers like Trump, and is able to utilize the Trump playbook better than Trump. But I don't see that happening. Trump is really strangling, has a stranglehold on the party. And you can just see that with Liz Cheney, right? You just see that with Liz Cheney, and with these lunatics like Gates and Taylor Greene, doing well within the party. I think Trump would easily get the nomination. I think he'd lose the election, but I think he'd win the nomination.
You see, the thing that I have is that Cheney, like, her father's an evil war criminal, and I don't know a lot about her policies, but when a Cheney is the moderate in a Republican Party, that things are going completely off the rails.
Well, it's like that with Bush the younger, right? With the other war criminal there, George W. He's on the outs, man. Mitt Romney's getting booed in Utah, in his home state, by the Republican base. Yeah. It is Trump's party. It is.
Well, party. You see, the thing with that is, how much do you think Bush was actually in control when he was president? Because I think that personally it was Cheney that was running the presidency. Because he's like, the thing is, that I'm not saying that he's not responsible. It's his name on the war, so he's responsible. In essence, he's responsible for the Iraq War and the Afghanistan War. So those are two wars are on him, even though he probably had nothing to do with him, because Cheney wanted to get Halliburton in to get the no contract bids in Iraq.
Yeah, it's all when you're in the big seat, basically, as Harry Truman said, the buck stops there. Now you may give up that power to your prime minister, to your vice president, but ultimately, as we've seen, the power of the presidency is imperial, and if the emperor decides to voluntarily give up some of that power, that still makes him emperor. That still gives him godlike power. I still put it on Bush the younger. And he is.
You see, I was actually thinking about this about like 10 minutes ago, or just before I came on. What we would have thought as the ideal president, and I for one am a massive fan of forget the guy who wrote it, but the guy that wrote The Newsroom and wrote West Wing.
Aaron Sorkin.
Aaron Sorkin, yes.
Sorkin,
and Jeb Bartlett was idealistic president. He made some. He didn't do it like he did. He wasn't a pure white. He sent orders to kill a person, whether terrorist or not. But I mean, the idealistic president was him, and the idealistic person he ran against was the guy that was played by Alan Alda. Did you watch West Wing?
No, my girlfriend's going to make me binge it.
Oh, you have to watch it. That in The Newsroom is.
We did see The Newsroom. We saw The Newsroom, and that's what really got me into Aaron Sorkin's work.
You have to watch West Wing, but the character who. So basically, Jimmy Smits becomes the nominee after Martin Sheen's character is got his second term, and he runs against a guy called Arnold Vinnick, who was played by Alan Alda, who's a Republican, and who his character in real life would never even get probably on the ballot because he is moderate.
Sure.
He's so moderate, and he's a Republican that's actually not a mouth-breathing, knuckle-dragging moron, So and that's a sad part. We said it before. George Bush would not get on nomination. Reagan would probably be laughed out of a town hall, even though he's killed the middle class.
John McCain wouldn't be on it. Mitt Romney wouldn't be on it. And I want to say hello to Simply Secular Dave too. Hello,
hey Dave.
Hey guys.
How you doing?
Good as ever.
All right, baseline. You're a baseline. So
well, the weather's finally getting nice out. We're expecting it's starting to reach hopefully high teens, and it's going to be hitting 20s for the next week. So, considering that I wanted to get out on my bike, but it was like 5 or 6 degrees and cloudy as hell, I'm finally able to get out. Which is
I can't believe it's already 14 minutes in, and I haven't said "damn you Canadians" with your Celsius.
Well, yesterday it was beautiful here. I went out and mowed the lawn, and I went out on the bike. Today I got up, and it's like a gloomy day. The roads are wet. It must have rained overnight or something. But it is. What we tell people. Typical Vancouver weather.
Well, Vancouver weather is pretty much England weather, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
We're a lot warmer if you look at the trends over the last 20 years.
No, but I mean in terms of rain.
Well, we get rain, but we get when I don't want to tell everybody because you'll all move here.
You're doing the Iceland strategy, Dave.
Yeah.
That's what You're doing the Iceland strategy.
When they say, oh, it rains for like 35 days in a row, yeah, it might rain like 4 minutes here, an hour there, and be sunny for the rest of the day. Right?
Yeah.
It's not like that gloomy, long 8 days of drizzle crap weather that we tell everybody else keeps them away and keeps real estate values down.
Yeah. Well, isn't Vancouver one of the most priciest in the city of Vancouver, one of the most priciest places to live in North America, or at least in Canada?
Well, there's areas in here like the British Properties, which is about 10 minutes from where I used to live.
Yeah,
is the most pricey per square foot land in Canada.
Yeah. Well, I heard something like people were paying for an apartment in Vancouver like $3,000 a month sometimes, or something stupid like that.
Well, it depends on the size and the location. But in our version of Manhattan, in the downtown core, you'd be looking at probably 900 square feet, $3,000, one parking spot.
Well, it was
that's parts of Boston prices right there.
Yeah. Well, my brother just he shared on something where we was that it was someone put up their house for sale, and they got in Toronto and got 600,000 over asking.
Oh yeah.
And it's ridiculous because I don't know when it's going to plateau, because it doesn't seem like it is doing it right now.
No, I've had friends in the Somerville area that have been looking for a home for 5 years, and 5 years looking to buy a place. And Somerville is just as crazy, if not crazier, than Cambridge and Boston for home prices.
Where's Somerville? Is it just on the outskirts of Boston, or
we're on the other side of the river? We're on America's left bank, to tell you the truth. That's how I like to typify Somerville and Cambridge. Is like we're the smarter version of Boston, basically.
Yeah.
The worst part about the Vancouver market is there's so much money in the market right now pushing the prices up that what's happening is people are being forced to remove the subjects from their offers. So if you say, subject to inspection or if the house includes this or something like that, they're just not even looking at the offers, because if you get 10 offers and 8 of them are like, as is right now, I have the cash, the other offer doesn't matter.
No, that's exactly what happened to my friends, Dave, is that there was structural issues with the house. They had the higher bid, but the other people are like, F it, we're just going to take it. Here's the money. We don't want no preconditions. We don't care.
Yeah. Well, it's like I said, it's ridiculous. It's to the point now. It's bad here. I know people that I have friends that live in England. One guy, I think he's almost 40, or he has hit 40. He's still living at home because, unless you can't afford to move, you can't afford to live. Let alone try be one person and get on the housing ladder. Try be a single person and get on the housing ladder, unless you got a really well paid job.
That's where I am, Glenn. I'm a single person. I've been single for a long time, other than having a live-in roommate girlfriend. And I've actually been involved in relationships where the other person was buying a place, and of course, I contributed to the rent or whatever. But yeah, the housing market is violent out here. It's
I bought a condo about a year after my divorce, and the only reason why I could afford it is because I've been saving my pennies, and also I live in what would be considered by many people a very dangerous city here in the Boston, in Brockton, Massachusetts. Of course, that was a city where I grew up in, and so I knew the city and where to go, where not to go. But yeah, that was the only reason why I was able to buy anything, because it was the last affordable place close to Boston that was near public transportation to get in and out of Boston. And I was able to buy it, but that's the only reason. That's the only reason.
Now, was it dangerous before you moved there or after you moved there?
Well, good question, sir. But yes, it was insanely violent during the 80s. And
okay, sorry for the uninitiated, like me, and not knowing a lot. Is Cambridge a part of Boston, or is Cambridge another city in Massachusetts?
It's a city in Massachusetts. You have the Charles River, named, of course, after Charles I. and you have Boston on the southern side of the river, and then you have Cambridge on the northern side of the river, and then Somerville abuts both Cambridge and Boston, and that's where I am.
Okay, so Somerville is part of Somerville isn't a region in Boston; it's its own city.
It's its own city, right?
Yeah. So that Charles River, is that where they threw the tea in?
That was in the ocean, actually.
Oh, okay.
No, which is right down the street from us, actually, in Charlestown.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's some people in the chat talking about pricing. The place that I moved into in North Vancouver, that I lived previously, where you had seen the view and that sort of thing. When I moved in there, they had purchased the place for $679,000. It was 715 square feet. It was a 1-bedroom and den. When I moved out, they had an offer for $859 to sell it.
Yeah.
In a year and a half, well, just over a year and a half, it had gone up that much in our market.
Yeah.
My brother and his wife, I think it must be going 3 years now. They, his wife, before they met, bought this, this 1-bedroom apartment in what is considered like right on the outskirts. It's considered Toronto, but then it's Toronto and Scarborough. So it's very close to downtown. Like you literally can be in downtown in 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. They had something, they had an LRT, a light railway train type thing that was being built, and there was a stop that was pretty much right outside their apartment building. They said, okay, we can hold on to it for 3 years while this thing's getting built, but we'll be tearing our hair out trying to get around. They put their place up for market. It got sold over asking in 12 hours.
Sure. Yeah.
And the thing is, this is if someone turns around and sells it when all that is built, they're probably looking at making even more money on top of that.
Yeah,
because
for sure they are.
And that's not even downtown Toronto. Like that's outside of the city. Now we live. My parents and I, when we first moved to Canada, we lived in a place called Thornhill, which is we were about, I'd say, 10-15 minutes drive from the subway that took you downtown Toronto. So you could be in downtown Toronto in like 45 minutes, or driving you could be there in 20 minutes. And the ridiculous pricing. They're like, it's a beautiful area, but it's so ridiculously priced. Like, $1 million houses are nothing new there. And I mean, even you're lucky if you can find a townhouse there for, I don't even want to know the prices. I'd live there in a heartbeat if I could, but I just could never afford it.
What scares me is about my kids and eventually their kids. What are they going to be able to do? Because obviously the jobs aren't going to be there. If anyone sees how the job market's going, is the government going to be able to supply them with the UBI required to live in the city, to buy in the city? Of course not. So I don't know what's going to happen. And also, and the thing is too, these fucking reverse mortgages, right? These mortgages that what do they call them? Are they reverse mortgages where the bank basically takes the equity from your home so that the elderly person can still live in their home? Tom Selleck pushes these things. It destroys intergenerational wealth. That's what it does.
What exactly does that do? Like, I kind of understand what you're saying, but so you basically are selling your house to the bank, right? And then they give you money.
And then they give you money, right? So they're basically taking an ownership stake in your property, from what I understand.
The worst part about this is, for up until they started doing reverse mortgages, there was a financial solution for families where if their parents did not have enough in their retirement, there was a couple of different things you could do. Number one is you could take out a mortgage and your children could pay it.
Yeah.
So that you could put 50,000, 100,000, 250,000, depending on the property and the value. You could take 10 to 20% of the value of the property, mortgage it, and the family could pay the mortgage for the parents and inherit 100% of the property at the end of that term. Well, if you call a reverse mortgage company and say, we need a solution, they don't tell you about that.
No way. And if you don't have the baloney detection kit, right, it's easy to fall prey to obvious scams like reverse mortgages.
Yeah. Well, it's the fact is let's face it, the banks have never been there to serve us. We've been there to serve them, and whatever way they can get around it, you know.
Yeah.
Basically, what was that movie?
The Big Short.
The Big Short. I
know exactly what movie you were talking about, dude.
Yeah,
it's like you're talking about evil financial system. It's like, oh, that has to be the Big Short.
Yeah, and it's basically betting on you screwing up and finding a way to actually profit off people's misery. You know.
Yeah.
You know, the one that absolutely kills me now, and I'm just every day I come across the commercial and I think about what sort of a absolutely toxic conversation it must have been when they developed Car Shield. You know, the car repair insurance.
Oh, I know, dude.
Two rich guys sitting around and like, hey, how can we screw poor people out of more money?
Oh, I've never heard of this.
We'll offer them.
Shield is huge over here, Glenn. It's huge.
We'll offer them an insurance, so if their car breaks down, we'll pay it. Only we won't pay it if they don't get their car serviced. We won't pay it if they don't get their car repaired at our place. We won't cover transmissions. We won't cover major failures. We won't cover anything that's under a factory warranty. So when these people come into the system, they'll be thinking no matter what goes wrong with their car, they have this umbrella over them. We're going to charge them more per month than their possible car repairs could be based on the averages. So they know in an average year for an average age of a typical built car, North American built, they know the repairs are about $1,600. So they divide that by 12, add 10% and charge you that. So if you actually took that money, if they said it's $40 a month, if you put that in the bank and your car doesn't break down, you have that money. If your car does break down, it's 75% likely that the car repairs are going to be less than that $40 a month.
It's it's a scam.
And there's a $500 deductible. How can you not take people's money over and over and over and make a huge stockpile of cash with that business model?
Yeah. You know, Dave, it's about peace of mind, though. You're going to have peace of mind. That's what they're saying.
You have a tiny piece of mind that's not working properly if you get Car Shield.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got a little ranty there. I probably need some more this Denny's coffee.
I don't know if coffee is the answer to not rant, personally.
Well, let's find out.
Let's find out, exactly. Now, whenever those commercials come on the TV, I always point out to my kids that this is a scam. This is just a scam.
I just posted that link about that house selling in Toronto.
All right. Yeah. I took a look at it. I'm taking a look at it right now. You put it in the private chat there.
That's what you get if you're wanting to buy a place in Toronto.
Yeah, I'll share my screen so everyone can take a look, a gander. Everyone can take a gander at it.
Yeah, I can't believe it. Like, it's ridiculous. Like I say, it's you know.
So they sold it. Yes,
they listed it for 1.6.
That's crazy, dude. Sold over $600,000 over asking.
Yeah.
Well, this is what also one of the, I mean, I'm not a financial advisor.
Yeah.
However, what I also tell my kids is that don't buy something when you absolutely have to, when you're desperate. Yeah. If you can avoid having to buy a house or buying a car when you're super desperate, and don't sell something when you're super desperate for the money either, because you're more than likely you're going to get a sucker's deal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And don't ever shop for groceries when you're hungry.
This is exactly the same principle, Dave. You're spot on with that.
Or don't order takeout when you're drunk. It's never okay. You never order the healthy stuff.
You never do. You never.
Yeah, it's never Subway. It's usually like, oh my god, what's the greasiest crap I could possibly eat?
Sure, but can you deep fry it? Yeah, it has to be deep fried.
Yeah. Well, it's like that. I think it's called the. It was two guys. the magical something more, and they go, can we pogo this? And it was these two comedians, and they had Jimmy Fallon on a few times. I think it's Mystical Morning or something like that. It was a YouTube channel, and it was like, so they take these things and go, can we pogo it, or can we fry this? And they do it with all different things you wouldn't think, and then they go, and then they grade it. It was actually really hilarious. It was two comedians, and Jimmy Fallon guested on it a few times.
Can it be battered and deep fried? And
yes, exactly.
Like Mars bars and ice cream, and
we got the Scottish to thank for that. Deep fried Mars bars.
Yeah. Jesse Bear points out, my dad always told me to save up my money and buy quality products versus cheap, like a newer car versus a beater car. Yeah, I never buy a new car.
The key to that is newer. Like buy one that's 3 to 5 years old that doesn't have a lot of mileage on it, and you can get a lot of value out of it.
I still have a 2007 Toyota Corolla. It's got 262,000 miles on it.
They drove a Corolla to Mars and back or something like that. Those things are,
the body's going to get out on me before the engine does.
Absolutely,
that's the thing, is Japanese. Like my Honda, I got it from my brother's wife, and it was a 2006, and there's not even 300,000 kilometers on it, because she didn't drive a lot, and I don't drive it a lot. And it was like, and I'm looking at it, and I'm going, I don't need a new car, because this thing can last till 800,000 easy, as long as I take care of it. But then I was driving by, and one of my favorite cars when my brother was wearing a Toyota was the Scion TC. It's a 2-door thing with a panoramic window roof, and I've always liked it. And I drive by this house right near my house, and I'm going, for sale. I'm going, oh, do I do it? Because it's one of the cars I would really like. It's newer, but probably going to cost money, and which I probably can't afford right now. So, but it's But I basically would like my next car to be a new car, so I want to wait until I can afford to make payments and stuff like that. Because my car's paid off. There's no point in like my car's paid off, and I'm paying $100 a month in insurance. So it's like
our insurance is pretty comparable to that. My motorcycle insurance is more than my car, but I drive an 06 SUV, 4-wheel drive.
So I'll tell you something stupid that I did, because no discussion about money is complete without me being stupid, because I talked about some of the smart things I've done. But I'll tell you about some of this dumb things. And does this have to do with my penis? Yes, it does. So
no. What did you do?
You guys are going to hear like groans from the people here on the chat. So I was in love.
We know how this is going to go.
Sorry, I should mute myself.
Oh, no. This is great. This is fantastic. So I was in love, and I knew the relationship wasn't, I was hoping for the best. That's what I was doing, everyone. And of course, it's not with my current girlfriend, right?
Yes, this was pre the girlfriend.
After the divorce, all right?
Oh, of course, after the divorce, brother. Of course.
I didn't know if it was before you met your ex-wife or after. Sorry.
Yes, it was in that dark period of time. Yeah. And so we were going, because my car, I was still driving my Toyota Corolla, but she was buying a car. And so I brought her to the place where I bought my cars, which were, always give you a good deal. And they always do good work on their cars, and they're always quality vehicles. And so we were talking about the price range that she was comfortable, and she had just gotten a really good job, a really good job for a nonprofit health insurance. And so she had money coming in, but she had bad credit. Now,
oh no, you didn't co-sign, did you?
Maybe I did, Dave. Maybe I did. Because the one thing I do have is a decent credit score, because as I've shared before, I just don't spend money on things really, and I pay my credit cards off every month. So yeah, maybe I co-signed my ex-girlfriend's car, and maybe that car payment is still coming to my doorstep. Now, I'm not paying anything. She's been very responsible with with paying off the car payment. But I co-signed for that loan. I have no legal claim to that vehicle.
Yeah.
But yes, and I've never realized how long a car pay. How
if
long
she stops paying off if she stops paying off the car and you start paying it, you have the right to have it repossessed. Oh, in Canada, you have the right to have it repossessed.
Well, in Canada, exactly. I'm sure I'd have to do I would have to consult someone about it. But yeah, so that was probably the most stupid thing I've done post-divorce.
Andy,
with money.
I've done the same thing. I was with a girl and she bought a car and she got a terrible deal on it. And I went back to the dealership and just railed them. And they said, well, she's a young woman. She's likely to get married and pregnant, stop working. So she's a credit risk and she doesn't have a lot of credit history. She doesn't have a credit card. So they charged her about 9 times the interest that they would have charged me.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
it was way up there. Like it was on the borderline of usurer laws. It was that bad. So I freaked out and I said, my sister works for a radio station and this is probably something they'd like to talk about on the air. And let me get the manager. So we got it all sorted out. They gave her a different car for a great deal with obviously a better thing, but I had to co-sign for it. Yeah. And when her and I broke up, I went to my lawyer because she moved while I was away visiting my mom for her birthday. So she did a date and dash, I guess you call it. So I went to my lawyer and I said, what's the deal here? Should I take her to court? Should I write it off? What should I do? And he said, did you sign for her car loan? And I said, yeah. And he said, if you sue her to get like half of all your furniture and belongings back, you're also going to sue her to acquire half of the debt in her vehicle because you co-signed for it. So let it go.
Did you have issues with her like paying? Did you ever come that you had to make payments on it? Because
she paid the car off. She had a really good job. She was making more money than me.
Yeah.
I know that story too, believe me.
Yeah.
Hey, Paul.
What's up, Paul?
I thought I'd jump in since you're talking about cars. I pick up my new car on Friday.
Good for you.
The car I've got at the moment, I do a lot of mileage, so I don't like to buy new cars because of the mileage that I do. But on the 7th of next month, I not change jobs because I'm still working for the same company, but I'm only going to be just up the road. So I've decided to get myself a new car. So I pick up it's a Renault Capture. I don't know if you know what they are in.
Well, I know Renault is what is that like a hatchback or what is it?
It's an SUV.
Oh, okay.
That's what the class does. I don't know can I share my screen, Andy?
Yeah. I'm actually looking it up right now. Yeah, share the screen, and we'll post it up.
So it's probably a compact SUV, right? Like a
You're asking the wrong person. I've got no idea.
Yeah.
It's a nice looking vehicle.
I just showed a picture of my Renault.
Okay, this is.
That's my old Renault. An 87 PTA. It was a little hot rod.
Wow, dude. Yeah, that looks like a compact.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking at the. Let's see if I can find it over here.
What's it called? Renault what?
A Capture.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you share my screen, I'll be able to show you.
Yep.
It's the same color as this.
Okay. All right. Yep. I got it, Paul. Wow.
Oh yeah. Is it electric?
No.
Picture this, a Renault Clio Super Mini on its tiptoes and wearing an SUV bodysuit. This is the Renault Capture crossover SUV. Practicality and a bit of SUV appeal. It's also the French car maker's answer to rivals like the Nissan Juke. And there's no denying that with this curvy body and electric blue paint job, it looks the part. The cabin of the Capture is very similar to the Clio, which means black gloss highlights, plenty of convenient storage compartments, and, on our model, Renault's easy-to-use optional R-Link system, incorporating things like sat-nav and media function. Standard kit on every Capture model is generous, as you get the likes of aircon, Bluetooth, electric front windows, and cruise control. Move up to the Dynamic S Media trim we have, and you get some exterior contrasting colours, parking sensors, and electrically adjustable heated mirrors. In terms of comfort, there's plenty of adjustments in the driver's seat, great all-round visibility, and even machine washable seat covers. Just be aware there are quite a few cheap plastics. Rear and boot space is very flexible in the Capture. Allow me to demonstrate. In the back, there's ample legroom and headroom. Go to the boot, and there is 377 litres. That is bigger than the Nissan Juke and Peugeot 2008. But wait, there is also a removable floor, sliding rear seats, and if you need that bit of extra space, rear folding seats to allow for 1,235 litres. Crossover SUVs have a tendency to remove themselves from what makes their Super Mini siblings great. The Capture, on the other hand, is probably about as close as it comes to delivering Super Mini roots. It gets the grip of the Clio, supple suspension, minimal body roll, and direct steering. Unfortunately, it also means it inherits the Clio's overly light steering. We're driving Renault's very capable.
Yeah, my girlfriend downsized. For that's pretty close to what my girlfriend's driving now. She's got the Escape Titanium, so it's a little bit bigger, mostly the trunk space. But she downsized from an F-150 because she bought it because they were pulling a trailer, and the gas was stupid on those. We never filled it up, so.
So
like,
Glenn, what
yeah, well, the car I've got at the moment is a Fiat Punto, so it's just a two-door. But it's going to petrol. Well, on diesel, it's about the average is. It claims in the book up to 90 miles per gallon, but that's the book thing. This one here is about 74 miles per gallon, so it's still pretty good. And I'm going to be doing nowhere near the distance, so that's what I pick up on Friday. Same colour as that, same spec as that, everything. Yeah.
Well, it's what I noticed when I was in England is that a lot of the cars are a lot more a lot more compact than in North America.
Yeah.
Andy, you're muted.
Thank you. Dave, what were you going to say? But you were going to say that I was muted. That's what you were going to say.
I tried that a couple of times.
That's good. Thank you.
So I was going to say if it's a brand new car, what you have to do is go onto Amazon and buy one of those charging ports, the black cover that you can put a charging plug into. Your car's not electric, but if you put it on the car so that you can put the handle in the car, you get free parking everywhere at the charging stations.
Yeah, good idea.
There was a kid at, I think it was MIT. It was somewhere down in the States where they wanted $180 a year for parking. And he bought the $39.95 charging port dummy thing, and he parked there. Well, one day, one of the teachers who had an electric car went up and pulled the handle out of his car and went, "Wait a second."
Nice. That's hilarious, dude.
So it was on a Jeep too. Like, Jeep doesn't make electric vehicles.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah. Well, it's quite easy to fool most people most of the time because, I have the experience to know that it's that the ignorance that some people and it's not only like people say US is ignorant. Trust me, that's a worldwide phenomenon. Like,
well, it's
ignorance and stupidity.
We have bad brains, as Michael Shermer said, and evolution only does good enough. It doesn't do perfect. So we're a stupid species, basically.
I totally agree. I think we're a very stupid species, but I think our main problem is we think we're so intelligent. As a human species, we think the human race is just so intelligent, and it bloody well isn't.
Well, a friend of mine, he lives on the East Coast in I think it's Dartmouth in Nova Scotia, and he was living. I met him in England, and he was living in England, and he was going back to Canada. And this girl goes, "How are you going to get back there? You're going to take the train?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'm going to take the train to Canada." and it's oh God, it's like the shit you can pull on people, especially if they've got preconceived notions. Like my uncle's brother he died quite a few years ago. He was living in New York. He was from South Africa, and he found some people that he could kind of trick, and he wanted to see how far he can take it. So they go, "What's South Africa like?" He goes, "Oh, it's great, but the only problem is when you're coming into the airport, they sometimes have to circle so they can get the elephants and the tigers off that runway."
That's great.
Yeah.
Great. I had a buddy from New Mexico. He came up here to visit. This is years ago, and he had more than one person tell him he spoke really good English.
Oh no!
Oh yes! Oh yes!
Well, it's like it's these people that yell at people for wearing Puerto Rican T-shirts when they don't even realize that Puerto Rico is part of the United States.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah.
Or Marjorie Taylor Greene denigrating people from Guam, calling them foreigners when they're a U.S. colony.
Yeah. So whenever China takes over Guam, no one's going to care here in the States except for North.
Yeah. Guam is Southeast Asia, isn't it? If I'm not mistaken.
Where
is it?
It is out in the Pacific. It is, from what I understand, a rock in the ocean. And
okay.
It's a very strategic rock.
It is a strategic rock. Yeah. Whenever the Chinese decide to invade Taiwan in like 5 or 6 or 7 years, you'll hear a lot about Guam. You'll hear a lot about it. You won't be able to get enough. You see,
because the only thing is, whenever I hear Guam, it sounds very, the name sounds very much like it would be near Thailand or something like that, but it's not. It's not even close, right?
Right.
Andy, I'll just jump out. I'll jump out because the wife's just put washing machine on. And it's going to get pretty loud in here.
Okay. Well, it's good seeing you, Paul. It was good seeing you.
Paul.
Congratulations on the car, brother. Congratulations on the car.
All right. Catch you all in a bit.
Right,
See ya.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.
Look for Paul to be streaming from his car soon.
Right.
Yeah, it's just well, have you heard about this? I don't know if it's an actual true, but it's there's this island which is disputed, I think, between Norway and Canada.
Yeah.
And it's the most decent dispute because basically Canada will come down, put their flag on them, and put a bowl of Crown Royal or something, and then the Norwegians will take the flag away and put their flag down and put a bowl of schnapps or something like that. Yeah. That's the dispute they have. That's how they resolve the dispute.
One of the many things we'll be hearing about more is about this race in the Arctic. Now that the Arctic ice is disappearing, people are making basically land/ocean grabs about where they can put oil rigs or do mining, and it's a
lot of mineral rights up there. Yeah.
It's going to heat up quite a bit. There's a pun there too, and I'm sorry about that.
Yeah,
but Guam is something. We got that. The U.S. got that during the Spanish-American War, and it is in a highly strategic area out in the southeastern part of the Pacific. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it's a shame that's like you think about it, the Arctic. It's like why? How about you just invest in carbon neutral, in renewable energy instead of trying to kill the last of the oceans off.
Oh yeah. Tobin's just back from the Department of, what is it, driving services? You had to get your license.
Yes, I don't know what that is. Driver something services, yeah.
Yeah, something about driving. I didn't know that you needed to get a license. And any in-person, engagement with the Department of Services there, with driving services, that can be, that can suck.
I really like what COVID has done to our government services here, because you book an appointment with an office, you show up no more than 3 minutes before your appointment, you get like the hand sterilizer, the gloves, the face mask, whatever from them. You go in, you deal with one person, one-on-one, and they want you in and out as soon as possible.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
When it came to renewing my driver's license, because I had to renew my driver's license and my plates on my birthday last year, I went in, and because you can actually do it all online if you want, but I wanted to the immediacy so I could get, and apparently they couldn't. I think there was a time when if you didn't get your sticker because you couldn't go into the office, they couldn't stop you for having an outdated sticker. But I just went in and got it. And because everyone was doing things online, you go to get your driver's license renewed, you could be upwards like waiting 20, 30 minutes sometimes. I was in and out in 3 minutes. Except that I think I needed to get a brand new license plate because mine had started to fade. So I might have taken 10 minutes, so.
Glenn, I have an insurance guy out here, and when I moved out here, I needed a day permit for my motorcycle. And I just phoned up and asked for a day permit. He gave me to one of his employees, and she took care of me within half an hour. She had emailed me a copy of the thing. I printed it out, put it on my bike, drove it over to my new place. Like, it's so convenient. But to renew my sticker, they just put it in the mail.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You can renew it. I could have renewed it all online, but I think I'd left it too close to my birthday, so I just wanted to make sure that I didn't have any issues with it. So just went in the office and there was no one there.
I just want to speak to what Tobin was writing. About 3 years ago, I had to get my license renewed too. But now here in the States, you need to get a real ID. So there's like the regular crappy state IDs in terms of a license. But if you want to go on a plane, you need a real ID. And so I had to go get I brought in a copy of my birth certificate and to my AAA dealership, my AAA office, because you can get a license from AAA. And they're like, sorry, dude, you have to get like the real birth certificate. And it's like, well, that's all the way down in Newport, Rhode Island, and I'm flying out tomorrow. It's like, well, you won't be able to get a new ID unless you get your real birth certificate from Newport, Rhode Island. So I had to drive all the way down to Newport, get a copy. And the people in Newport are very nice people. I had to get a copy of my like an original copy of my birth certificate and drive all the way back up into the Boston area. So I could get my real ID license. So if you're not acquainted with if you're getting a brand new license, then they're going to need a original copy of your birth certificate. And
so you were saying that for flying, it was this a state ID as opposed to a driver's license, or what?
So you can get two classifications of driver's license here, at least in Massachusetts. So you can just get a regular everyday driver's license that is not federally okayed. That is not like federally recognized. You cannot get on a plane or off a plane without the federal version of that. So it's only one ID, but one's a real ID and one's I know it sounds quite Byzantine. And so of course, because I fly occasionally, not often, I need to get a quote unquote real ID. And that means you need to have an original copy of your birth certificate to get a real ID. Yep, it was a pain in the ass, to tell you the truth.
Yeah,
it's always been that way here. You've always needed a valid government issued ID to get your driver's license or whatever.
Yeah. It's the same. I don't know. I've never flown within Canada, Dave. If you're flying within Canada, what kind of ID do you need to get on the plane? Just a driver's license?
You need one of those, either a triangle card from Canadian Tire or a Tim Hortons card.
Well played, Dave. Very nice.
So you literally don't need ID. Like they just have to show the ID, just show that your ticket is matching the name of the person, pretty much.
Yeah, I think post 9/11 you have to, but before you just needed like anything, like a student ID, a baseball card with your name on it, like anything. But post 9/11, I think you need to show an actual, like either a BC ID or a driver's license or a medical card or something, social insurance number card or a birth certificate.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, excuse me.
But yeah, I mean now everyone I know has a passport anyway. So
yeah. My passport. I had a passport, but now of course I let it kind of lapse, and so I have to get a whole new passport.
Well, you see, I let my permanent resident card lapse because I haven't been able to go to England anyway. So and I haven't been able to go out of the country anyway. So if I wanted to, I could get because I'm not nearly a citizen of Canada. I'm what they call a permanent resident. And I have this, you can get a permanent resident visa type thing that if you don't want to get the card, you just pay like a small fee and that way I can use it to cross borders and stuff. The thing is, I am eligible to become a citizen, I think, in September. So
cool.
I don't know if I want to go through all the paperwork of having to get a permanent resident card, unless, of course, it takes a lot longer and I want to go somewhere else before then I will. But put it this way. For me to get my permanent resident card is like a 6-page application, and it takes a month to get it. When I renewed my British passport, it was a 2-page thing. I think 3 pages, including the picture, and I got it. Keep in mind that when you send in to get your permanent resident, I think it's either in Sudbury or in PEI. It took a month to get my permanent resident card back. It took 9 days from when I sent it out to Britain to get it back, and I had my new passport within 9 days.
Yeah,
because they FedEx it as soon as you get it, they go okay, and they do it, and it's so quick. And the new passport.
I think the government Pure-Laters on, but Pure-Later FedEx, same difference.
Yeah. And I mean, but also it was ridiculous. Like it was ridiculous how quick, and it was. And those I've wanted the I don't know if yours in the US have them yet, but here the new ones have microchips in them, and it's like it's the new passports are so damn advanced, it's ridiculous. Like
does it sync up with the vaccine ones though? The chips.
Yeah. I don't know if it has the 5G microchip in it. That's that Bill Gates can follow me. I think it probably does.
Hey, Andy.
What?
I know we're getting close to the close of business for the show. So I just wanted to, me and Trash Panda here are interested in Cat Search 2021. Give us a little update.
I do need to contact the Facebook group and to remind them that we are available this weekend to get a cat, or cats plural, or to at least take a look. We may. And so that's one of the interesting pieces of information. And I did bury the lead for the last 2 hours. My girlfriend came up with the idea last night that we should do on some kind of like world tour and bother all of you in your homes, basically, or at least to pop in and at least and pay, and just do some kind of grand atheist tour and visit a bunch of you, because she's got the travel bug.
I do have the queen size pull-out couch right in front of the 65-inch TV, so you could enjoy some television as you fall asleep.
Oh, that sounds beautiful.
That's my cat. I can't forget the camera lined up. That's my cat bird watching, because we got the screen door. I got the screen door out. Got the door open, but the screen door closed.
That's a great cat, Glenn.
Yeah. Well, that's it. His twin brother's up in the other window, because the second we open the windows, they basically have their face glued to the screens, because if there's another cat outside, if there's any sort of animals, they're like, okay, their eyes are bugging out.
Just because you put down Bauhaus there in the chat, Jesse, there's a Bauhaus house. There's a Bauhaus house, a Gropius house, actually, in Lexington, Massachusetts, which isn't that far from here. My girlfriend and I took a tour of it, along with my kid, about before COVID. The apocalypse started. It was great. It's a beautiful house, but of course, my kid was bored and could not appreciate the finer aspects of Bauhaus. No, that's completely digression and tangent from what we were talking about.
Yeah, the only Bauhaus I know is the old goth band.
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. My friend who I work with, he has a catering business, and obviously when we're in the kitchen we're listening to music all the time, and a lot of times we get on this like goth kick, and it's Bauhaus and all those old goth bands from the 80s, and a lot of music where I've heard of the name but never heard them, and that was one of the bands.
Sure. On that note, I'm gonna have to close up shop because I gotta go to work later on today and get ready. So Bela Lugosi's Dead, right, from Bauhaus.
Yeah.
So he really
Okay. Just a quick thing. I don't know if I'll be probably see you guys again this week, because I'm working tomorrow and I might be working on Friday. So if I don't see you guys, have a great weekend. Weekend. See you guys later.
I'm going to hit the end broadcast button right now. Take care.